Right then, it's time to talk about Antony. Now, Antony was a massive money signing, under a lot of scrutiny when he first joined Manchester United because of his admittedly very high price. I think the last six performances that he's had, or something like that, have been very, very good. Um, I think he's been someone that looks like he's settled in quite well. He's showing how dynamic he can play off the right hand side, and he's also been swapping and going over to the left, and even finding himself up front like he did in the second half against City. Pundits were criticising the deal because of the numbers weren't stellar numbers in the Eredivisie, where you would typically expect them to be a little bit higher and sort of level off a little bit as he comes into the Premier League. It's not actually been the case. And you also get this a little bit unknown factor where they're just going to criticise him because he isn't an English player and he's a big money Manchester United player. So that means you free reign to go bananas on him. Now, United have been in search for a player that can play off that right hand side and cut in centrally the way you've seen like Mahrez and Salah doing in recent years. And I think that's what Antony's going to look to create, offering something different rather than having a right-footed right winger that looks to get down the outside and then cross it in. Someone that can actually create and score goals for himself, as we've seen him do. And he can do that. In Ten Hag's heavy possession-based game, you can see why Antony suits it on that right-hand side, being someone that's able to receive the ball in tight spaces, use trickery to be able to get past someone and get out of those tight spaces, but also playmake from that area and involve other people as well. One thing we haven't seen him doing yet is beating his man. That's something that I think he's just getting used to the league, and then you're going to start seeing him taking it past people. He's not done that yet. That's something we know he's got in the locker, and I'm sure we'll see it in due course. His passing has been good, and I think the playmaking, playing balls in for the likes of Marshall, Rashford, Ronaldo, those have been good aspects of what we've seen from him. And he's provided a lot of balance for United, as United look a lot more fluid in forward areas because we're more of a threat across the width of the pitch. One of the criticisms I've had of United in recent years, certainly in recent years, is when we were very left side centric. It was very easy to mark us. You look at Wan-Bissaka over there on the right hand side, you go, don't worry about that. And you're just stacking over to the left because you knew that we were going to build up with Shaw, Marshall, Rashford, Pogba, and we were going to be coming only through that left sort of channel. And when we're doing that, one, it's predictable. Two, it's very easy for you to stack up and just deal with that. And even when you're playing the likes of Greenwood, or even occasionally Juan Mata would feature on the right-hand side, they're going to drift in. They forget that they're supposed to hold their width on that side. So they're leaving Wan-Bissaka out in no man's land, and you don't need to worry about him anyway, because even if he gets the ball, you get out to him and close him down, which meant all of United's play was extremely predictable and extremely easy to defend against because you know they're just going to attack down this one side. When you've got two-pronged attacks, and you've got people who are going to stay right on their touch lines, and then you've got midfielders in the centre of the pitch who are able to hit out to those players, now you're a team that's got threats. Now, Manchester City are the benchmark in a lot of ways for a lot of things. But the way their players hold their width on the touchlines, when the ball's on the opposite side of the pitch, maintaining that threat means that one defender has to constantly be looking over his shoulder going, I need to deal with him. I need to get back over there. If they switch this, I need to be over there. Quick time to deal. And the balance is provided has allowed Manchester United more space. Think back to Jose Mourinho days. Manchester United can't break or even under Ollie at times, United can't break low blocks down. Why can't we break low blocks down? It seems like there's just no room when we enter the box. Well, why does there look like there's room now? And it's literally as simple as people holding their positions and allowing us to enter into that space. Antony is comfortable in possession. He's comfortable in those tight areas should that arrive as well. He's got touch, he's got dribbling, he's got skill. He has a low centre of gravity. And of course, he has an eye for goal. I think he's only going to get better. I think he's had a really good start to life with Ten Hag. As we mentioned, we've not really seen him beating his man 1v1 just yet. I think he's almost been playing within himself and still playing very well. And that's what excites me about what's going to happen with Antony. Now, Ten Hag himself has come out and said, that's what you see. First few weeks, he's scored goals, he's did stuff, but I saw a lot of room for improvement in his game. And I was happy with the goal he's made and how he was out of the moment, getting in behind. He has to do that more. He has to use that space. He has a good dribble, but he needs more variation. In the first games, he wasn't always that good defending-wise, but today's really good, really disciplined. He's had good positioning, good anticipation, and he's had quite an impact on this team's performance. I can't disagree with anything Ten Hag said about him there. And the levels for him to get through, we've seen the levels. We saw what he was capable of doing with Ajax. We know that he's got these things in his locker. We can't wait to see what he's going to unleash. And the fact that he's come in, he's scored a handful of goals so far. That's only going to give him the confidence that the crowd's behind him, his manager's behind him, and his teammates believe in him to be able to start really putting it out there on the pitch and start playing with the arrogance of Manchester United winger is meant to play with. You know, he likes, and I think he likes at least anyway, playing in that sort of high press Ten Hag system. He's obviously been coached with him previously at Ajax. He knows what it takes to play in those high pressure, high pressing teams. Always want to be on the front foot. Always show how you can do it with the forwards. Just like Malacia had some way of knowledge of playing in that system, even though he was playing against Ajax, he's coming into it a little bit more, being a bit more of a progressive sort of player than maybe he was to be previously. Communication in a new team's very, very important. I think it helps that Antony can speak and understand English, as well as the fact that there's a lot of Portuguese-speaking players in the team. Delo speaks Portuguese behind him, and if maybe something's not quite clicking in English, learning something in English is obviously very difficult. The fact that you've got someone who can maybe explain it behind you, to the side of you, and in front of you can help him in training and in games as well. And I think that a little bit the same way it is with the Dutch. Malacia, Ten Hag obviously can help with the understanding of exactly what he wants to get him to understand. I think these things, the communication specifically, are going to be key in making sure these players all understand exactly what Ten Hag wants. Ten Hag's English is a lot better than ours as well. He uses some words that aren't quite correct, but he definitely conveys what he's trying to get over, and that's all you're trying to do. 3 games, 3 goals so far. He scored against Everton, City, and Arsenal. He's the first Manchester United player to score in all 3 appearances in the Premier League for the club. Can't argue with that. He's been called up for the Brazil national team. He's got 11 games. He's scored twice. Interceptions per 90 is in the 98th percentile, showing you that he is defending from the front foot. Progressive carries per 90 is in the 93rd percentile, and I think he's got more to go in that area as well. Progressive passes per 90 is in the 91st percentile. Again, I think we can see what he's doing when he's linking play up, but I think more levels to go through with that yet. A little bit more flair we brought out of him. And since joining, he has played in all 6 games in all competitions for United. Ten Hag knew he wanted him, knew he was going to play him. And I think it's on the rest of the players in the squad, the likes of Sancho, Rashford, or to make themselves as invaluable as Antony has made himself in his first half dozen games. Just watching. See you in the next one. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.